This isn't just another video about manifestation. This is the moment where the old understanding dissolves, and something quieter, simpler, more powerful steps in, the realization that all of it begins with states of consciousness. Not actions, not effort, not circumstances or the approval of others. What if reality doesn't change because things are fixed, but because the you who's watching this, who's trying to get it right, has been living in the state of a version of self that believes it still has to earn change? Neville Goddard said it with such precision it stings a little. You don't change reality by changing people or circumstances. You shift your state. But what does that really mean? Because here's what tends to happen. The mind hears a quote like that and goes, yes, yes, I know, but nothing actually changes. And this is not because the quote isn't true, it's because it hasn't been embodied. It hasn't dropped from the head into the core. Every state of consciousness is a lens. It colors the world, it speaks through tone, it responds through action, it determines everything, even what appears to be happening to you. A state is not something to be fixed or fought, it's something you live in, often without realizing. And until it's shifted, the outer world remains a mirror of that state. That's not punishment, that's precision, that's law. The moment you truly grasp this, everything flips. There's no longer a need to text someone to get a reaction, to keep replaying the same affirmations hoping they'll finally work, or to analyze childhood patterns for the 15th time. Because the answer was never there. It's not about digging deeper into the problem. It's about stepping out of the state that includes the problem entirely. And this is where the real magic lies, in recognition, not force. So many people spend their lives trying to mold the world into a shape they can feel safe in. But the world bends when you shift your place within it. The version of you who is loved, successful, magnetic, abundant, already exists. That version is not hidden behind 10 more affirmations or another healing session. That version exists now, in a different state. And the door is open. Let's talk about something radical. Something most people never hear, or never believe fully. You don't need to fix anything. Not your personality, not your past, not your partner, not your patterns. You don't even need to clear the old beliefs for the new state to become real. The moment you hear this, something in the brain will resist. But what about my trauma? What about my abandonment issues? What about the fact that they keep ghosting me? The mind screams for logic. But the soul, the deeper self, already knows the truth. None of these things are the cause. They are symptoms of a state. A state is like a radio frequency. Tune into a station of lack, and even when you're doing positive things, they're filtered through that frequency. The voice might say, I'm worthy, but the energy behind it says, I hope this finally works. A state of fear speaks louder than any loving word. A state of abandonment colors even the sweetest moment with anxiety. And this is why people stay stuck for months, even years. Because they're doing all the right things from the wrong place. There's nothing broken. But there is a version of self being embodied right now that continues to repeat the same loop. It wakes up in the state of trying to fix it. It falls asleep wondering if enough was done today to finally feel better tomorrow. And in between, it spends its energy trying to control what it can't, the world, the people, the outcomes. But there's another way, a quieter, simpler way. And it begins by letting go of fixing. There is no effort in a true state shift. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't require 21 days of perfect practice. It just happens when you stop arguing with the present version and remember who you already are. Shifting isn't about pretending. It's about allowing. It's a decision made in stillness. I'm no longer the one who needs this to change to be okay. I'm the one who already is. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing to fix it, it begins to change. Because the state of already okay is more magnetic than any version that tries to earn its worth. That state already contains the solution, the person, the peace. But you can't feel it while you're still being the one who thinks it isn't here yet. The state shift doesn't bring the thing, it includes it. Think about the subtle moments. The text you want to send. The affirmation you repeat. The visualization you close your eyes and play every night. The world is not responding to what you do. It's responding to where you're doing it from. A state of desperation says, please let this finally be the moment I'm chosen. A state of wholeness says, of course it's already mine. And the actions might look the same on the outside. But the results, completely different. This is where most people miss it. They think manifestation is about doing things right, saying the affirmation enough times, visualizing with more detail, feeling the feeling more intensely. But manifestation has never been about doing, it's about being. You manifest from who you are, not what you say. You could be doing all the right things from a state that says, I still don't have it, and that state will override everything. Because the state you're in is speaking louder than your affirmations. It's encoded into your energy, your tone, your posture, your choices. It's the subtext of every interaction. And reality, ever the loyal mirror, keeps reflecting it back. A person in the state of unwanted will keep seeing signs of rejection, no matter how much self-love content they consume. A person in the state of unworthy will find ways to sabotage, even when opportunities show up. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because the state itself is creating the outcomes. The only way out isn't to try harder. It's to be different. And that's not about pretending to be confident. It's about embodying the version of self who already knows this world reflects their inner experience. The version who doesn't beg, chase, or perform. The version who chooses a state the way someone picks an outfit, with clarity, with ease, without explanation. Because reality is not personal. It's obedient. It doesn't ask what you want. It reflects who you're being. There's a moment in this journey where something starts to crack, but not in a painful way. It's the kind of cracking open that feels like light coming through. It's when it becomes clear that all the effort, all the healing, all the fixing has been rooted in a single misunderstanding. The belief that reality changes through control. Control over thoughts, control over actions, control over people. But this idea itself belongs to a limited state of consciousness. And as long as one is rooted in that state, everything done, no matter how spiritual, how positive, how high vibration, still stems from a version of self that believes something needs to be fixed before peace or love or money can be felt. The paradox is, nothing truly shifts from that place. And it's not because manifestation doesn't work. It's because that version of self is still operating from the belief, this is not enough. I am not enough. Something must change. Here's the deeper truth. The moment one tries to fix the outside world, they've already accepted a state of being that sees the world as broken. And here's the secret that nobody says out loud enough. The world is only ever reflecting back the state that's being lived in. If the world feels chaotic, unfair, distant, unavailable, it's not because that's the truth. It's because that's the state being occupied. There are infinite versions of the world and infinite versions of self. In one version, that person chooses you. In another, they don't. In one version, money flows. In another, it doesn't. The state one lives in determines which version gets seen, experienced, felt. So the goal was never to fix the world. It was to choose which lens to look through. This is where most people unknowingly keep themselves stuck. Because when life doesn't look the way it's supposed to, the mind kicks in with strategies. Text them less. Text them more. Journal. Meditate. Heal the inner child. Do the shadow work. Repeat the affirmations until the throat is sore. And none of those things are bad. But if they're being done to force change, they carry the same energy of lack. They come from the state of this isn't working, and therefore, they keep recreating this isn't working. The outside hasn't shifted yet because the inside hasn't shifted yet. The self doing the manifesting is still the self who believes something needs to be fixed first. But imagine, just for a moment, what would happen if nothing needed to be fixed? What if nothing was broken? What if the patterns weren't showing up because of karma, or trauma, or limiting beliefs, but simply because of a state that hadn't yet been recognized and released? See, states are habitual. They feel familiar, and they whisper, this is who you are. But they lie, because the state isn't you, it's just a position, a lens, a filter through which the world is being perceived. And the beauty of this teaching is that no matter how long one has been living in a certain state, another one is always available. It's not about waiting to be ready. It's not about doing more. It's not even about thinking differently. It's about being differently. And this is where Neville's teaching becomes more than theory. It becomes embodiment. You don't change reality by changing people or circumstances. You shift your state. This isn't just a nice quote. It's a law. It means that trying to manipulate people into loving you, trying to get that client to pay, trying to push the timing, it all becomes unnecessary. Not because the desire is wrong, but because the desire already exists in another state where it's fulfilled. The desire is a breadcrumb, a call to step into the version of self where that desire is already real. And that shift can happen in an instant, without work, without proving anything, without earning it, because the state doesn't need justification. It only needs acceptance. Now, this might feel disorienting at first, because if reality is truly a mirror and states are the cause, then it becomes impossible to keep blaming others. The partner who left, the job that ghosted, the friend who disappeared, they didn't act out of nowhere. They showed up in accordance with a state. And that realization can hurt, but it also frees. Because if the outside isn't the problem, then freedom doesn't depend on anyone else. That's the gift. That's the power. The state can be shifted now, without waiting for the apology, the raise, the opportunity. The change doesn't come after the result. The change is the result. And when that shift happens, the world reorganizes itself. People call out of nowhere. Opportunities appear. Emotions change before circumstances do. This is what Neville meant when he said, you don't need to fix anything, just shift states. Because in the state where love is natural, there's no need to question it. In the state where money is normal, there's no need to hustle or stress. In the state where confidence is embodied, there's no need to overthink or compare. Every state carries its own beliefs, emotions, and outcomes. One can't be in the state of unworthy and feel secure, no matter how many affirmations are repeated. But stepping into the state of I am already chosen, suddenly, there's no effort. There's no chasing. There's just being. And yes, it takes awareness. It takes recognizing when the mind wants to go back to fixing. But the good news is, the moment that's noticed, a new state becomes possible. Because awareness is the beginning of the shift. Not by force, not by grinding through pain, but by gently saying, this isn't who I choose to be anymore. And just like that, the grip of the old state loosens. The body softens. The breath deepens. The world starts to look a little different. Not because the world changed, but because the lens did. And this is the turning point. This is the difference between years of trying and a life of being. You don't need to keep chasing, fixing, or proving. The version of you where it's already done isn't waiting on better timing or better circumstance. It's just waiting on recognition. That shift doesn't require effort. It requires being. When you stop trying to change the mirror and simply become the reflection you desire to see, reality bends. What state are you ready to leave behind? And which one are you choosing now? Drop it in the comments. Let the shift begin right here.